Six-pack abs, they're cool. Everybody wants them. You know, when you're out at the Rainforest Cafe, my wife's favorite restaurant, you could be like, hey, look at these. And people will be like, I'm gonna call the police, but that's kind of impressive. They might even think you're Tarzan. But aside from the aesthetic aspect of six-pack abs, aside from having that Fight Club physique, which is super enviable to be sure, if you get six-pack abs in a way that is realistic and you're not using drugs or just crazy methodology, it is actually very revealing. It's revealing that you have understood something, that you have not only developed a discipline, but you have approached fitness and nutrition in a way that is intelligent, measured, consistent, and precise. So from my perspective, it's actually very worthwhile to pursue that six-pack ab physique, not just because they look great, but because it will force you to get a lot of things dialed in that if you can get these things dialed in, honestly, six-pack abs are just the beginning. You'll be able to accomplish pretty much anything you want in your fitness endeavors. Getting that six-pack ab physique is a serious achievement that takes serious work and a thoughtful process. Okay, so there we go. Not like I probably need to sell you too much on wanting to get six-pack abs. It's pretty much something everybody wants anyways. So let me talk about the habits to get there. There are no six-pack shortcuts. The truth is, getting visible abs takes time, it takes hard work, and you have to do things right, and you have to do them right for a while. So this is why we're focusing on habits, dispositions, patterns of behavior that over time will make you leaner, stronger, more resilient, and have that awesome Fight Club physique. Okay, so what is the first habit? Number one is a protein target. We're gonna talk about a few nutritional habits. You've heard me mention a few of these before, but pay attention because we're gonna add a little bit of fine tuning and nuance. One of the most important things, if you want to be leaner and more muscular, is to have a daily protein target. If nothing else, for a lot of people, a lot of the time, just getting your protein numbers up will make a lot of other good, cool things happen, especially fat loss. So what I recommend is that you try to get 1 gram of protein per pound, not of body weight per day, but lean body weight. So you have your bro science recommendation, gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. I think that's probably too high for most people. So go for lean body weight per day, or if that's even a bit much, go for desired body weight. So whatever you want to weigh, try to hit that in grams of protein per day. Awesome, effective, simple recommendation. And try to get it mostly from lean protein sources, you know, turkey, chicken, salmon, Hyrax, whatever you're into. Number 2 is a calorie cycle. So oftentimes you will hear, you need a calorie deficit to lose weight and to reveal your abs because abs come out in the kitchen. There is a good amount of truth to that, but it's not the whole truth. Abs do become revealed through fat loss, which happens primarily in the kitchen, but you also need abs to reveal, which means they need to be built in the gym. We'll talk about that in a minute. But on the calorie side, I don't want you just to hit a straight calorie deficit. In terms of a habit, I want you to engage in a calorie cycle. And the best way to do this is a 5-2 split. 5 days of a reasonable calorie deficit, 2 days back to maintenance. Having this cycle makes it more sustainable. It helps you to avoid metabolic downshifting or metabolic slowdown. It helps you to retain more lean muscle, and it's just psychologically useful to have those periodic diet breaks. It's what makes it actually possible to have a habit around this rather than just engaging in crash dieting and rebounding. So 5 days, somewhere between a 5 to 20% calorie deficit. There's a range there because depending on how much weight you have to lose, you may want to be more or less aggressive. If you're already pretty close, if you're already pretty lean, then you're gonna come in closer to around 5 to 10% daily calorie deficit. If you got more to lose, you can be more aggressive. 2 days per week, consecutive days per week. Generally for most people that's the weekend. Just come back up to maintenance and maybe boost carbs a little bit as well. Okay, so those are your 2 main nutritional habits. Protein target, calorie cycle. Great, let's talk training. In terms of actually training in the most efficient way for six-pack abs, here are some things that I want you to keep in mind. 1, focus on metabolic resistance training. Metabolic resistance training is essentially blending the best of strength, muscle building, and cardio efforts all into one routine. If you followed me for a while, you know that as a very busy father running my own business, this is my favorite form of training. We use kettlebell complexes, combos, circuits, and chains. This is where you take multiple exercises, perform them for a good number of reps at a high intensity, often back to back with little to no rest. So that way we are training multiple muscle groups and energy systems simultaneously. We get a very powerful muscle and strength and power building effect while also cranking the metabolism, getting that awesome exercise post-oxygen consumption, that EPOC, that afterburn effect that everybody is after. So in terms of effective body recomposition training, which is what we want, if we want to reveal that sharp set of abs, metabolic resistance training should be a primary component in your workout regimen. On the other side of the spectrum, I want you to do lots of low intensity cardio. The best thing to do here is probably just brisk walking. You can really kind of do whatever you want, But for me, just getting out for that long daily brisk walk is the perfect complement to the high intensity. So we have the high intensity metabolic resistance training. We also have frequent low intensity brisk walking. Really effective, not just for improving your mood and being healthy and feeling good, but also facilitating fat loss to reveal the six-pack abs as well. So high intensity, low intensity, kind of training on the extremes. Those are two other habits there that you want to get into. All right, we have a few more habits to go. 2, if my numbers are correct. And the next habit is, of course, recovery and sleep. This is critically important in general for life, for exercise, if you're trying to build strength or muscle. Sleep is so important. If you're not sleeping well, your stress goes up, your energy goes down, your willpower slides, you tend to want to eat for energy, you don't have the sort of discipline to make disciplined food decisions and engage in intense exercise. You need to be sleeping, ideally, for at least 7 to 8 hours per night. Get to bed on time. Don't stay up super late watching The Walking Dead. Have good sleep hygiene. Sleep in a cool, dark room. Prioritize sleep. I know you might miss out on some of your favorite television shows, but being an adult, being successful in fitness means managing compromises. If you're not prioritizing sleep, everything else is negatively affected because of that, and everything else becomes way, way more difficult, including and especially fat loss. Okay, so the last habit that I want to talk about is surprisingly sometimes not discussed as much when it actually comes to the whole, how to get six-pack abs thing, and that is direct core training. So the truth is, if you want your abs to show, a few things need to happen. One, you need to get your body fat low or low enough, but that itself isn't sufficient because you need to also build up your abdominal musculature. You actually need to have something to reveal when the fat comes off. Now, lots of exercises are great for building muscle in general, but truth is, if you want your abs to be developed, then you should train them directly, just like you would train your chest if you want your chest to be developed, or your triceps if you want your triceps to be developed. Your abs are no different. And the secret here is to train your abs in the same way that you train everything else. One of the big mistakes that people make for getting abs or building abs is they train their abs like totally different than they would everything else. They might train the other movements like squats and presses with high intensity and use metabolic resistance training, but then when they go to do abs, they'll do sissy exercises for a huge number of reps that aren't really challenging. Just think of people who just do like endless numbers of crunches, and crunches are okay, I guess they're not that sissy, but I want you to do stuff that's hard. That's really hard, that's really intense, that it's actually going to challenge you, where if you're doing anywhere between 5 to 12 reps, you're actually probably going to hit failure. So there's a few exercises I want to suggest to you that I think you should train somewhere between 2 to 3 times per week. Exercises that are big impact, high degree of neuromuscular facilitation, and actually will build those abs up so you have something impressive to reveal. Ab wheel, fantastic direct core exercise. You don't have to even do it from standing, just from your knees is really, really effective. Hanging leg raise, also really effective direct core exercise. The hanging leg raise is one of my all-time favorite ab exercises. It's not only tremendous just for building strength and sort of just knitting yourself together, but it will give you that big, blocky sort of abdominal look that a lot of people are looking for. And then the third one that I'm going to recommend, I still can't hold up 3 fingers without my pinky coming along, so we'll knock it down there, is hollow hold. The hollow hold is sort of, your work up to a lot of handstand work, which is cool. You can do that if you want, but it is a really effective direct core exercise where you essentially just turn yourself into a banana and you try and hold that position with your low back pressed hard into the ground. You're tucking the rib cage. It is really hard, especially if you're doing extended sets between 30 to 60 seconds. If you can do a 60-second hollow hold, that is strong, and that is going to be really, really effective for building not just direct core strength, but actually developing the musculature as well. So that direct core training really is an essential piece to the puzzle. Again, it's one thing to get the body fat down and get muscle up overall, but you need to get the muscle up with the abs. You need to have your abs be muscular so you have something cool to reveal. So those are your 6 habits. Remember, my friends, that habits are dispositions. They're patterns of being. These are things that if you put these in place over time, because there are no six-pack shortcuts, this is what will make the difference. The biggest reason that I think people fail to see their abs is because they don't have the holistic picture. They're not doing all of these habits. They might have 1 or 2 in place, but they're not doing all of them. And they're also just not patient with time. They don't trust the process. And the truth is, when it comes to seeing your abs, that's sort of an end of the process thing. It takes a lot of time, especially for those last few pounds to sort of melt off or melt away. So put the habits in place, trust the process, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Strong on.